Twitter actually implemented this really cool technology called Twitter Spaces. It's kind of like their reimagination of Clubhouse. One of the main reasons why I feel like I've been able to connect so well in the NFT space with other people is that I invested first in their community before I even chose to speak. I was just simply community building, meeting people, following everybody back and just being part of the community. And when I felt in my soul that it was the right time to drop something, I created the song Meta Girl. And I felt like that was a cool way to kind of win some of the community over, because that's the world that they live in every day. They're literally playing with cryptocurrencies and NFTs day in and day out. So for them, that song was very, very familiar. So the cool thing is that I was able to migrate a lot of music lovers that heard me sing on Twitter Spaces to my Discord. If it felt right, and I felt like I wasn't an intruder, I would just throw it out there. I'd go, hey guys, like you guys have been talking for a while. I think you guys need a music break. The idea of like being a Twitter busker. And so I was busking all over Twitter Spaces. Like I would literally like go into one that said like 100 people, go in and sing a song. I'd leave and then go look for another one, 300 people, go in there, sing another one. I'm just blessed that Twitter Spaces existed, because to have an audio platform, an audio technology that I can showcase my music was the key. I would say, I'd love to sing you guys a song, but just so you know, that song you've been hearing for the past 2 or 3 months, you can now buy it as an NFT. And so these people just love collecting. They're literally avid collectors. So they're like, oh my God, are you serious? Pin something to the top of the room. You could pin a tweet to the top of a chat room so that everybody in the room can see what everybody's talking about. And it would say minting is now live. You can now buy my music NFT. Click this link.
What's going on? Welcome to The New Music Business. I'm your host, Ari Herstand, author of How to Make It in the New Music Business, the book, 3rd edition, coming January 2023. Look out for that. Pre-order is starting very soon. Today, my guest is Sammy Arriaga. He is a Latin country artist. Didn't think that genre exists? Well, it didn't really before Sammy kind of started it. He's a Cuban American from Miami, Florida. And on this episode, he talked all about his journey from American Idol to Nashville, to grinding it out on the Strip, to a Sony record deal, to then getting dropped by Sony, to then going viral on TikTok, and then launching an NFT and making $250,000 within 2 months on that NFT completely independently. And he talks about exactly how he did it. And no, it's not because he has a giant fan base. He doesn't. He steps you through exactly how he was successful at everything he did. So if you're interested in any of this, going viral on TikTok or the NFT Web3 community, this is the episode for you. Specifically, if you're into the NFT space, NFT for musicians, listen to the very end. Yes, this episode got a little long. This is longer than most of our episodes, but I wanted to keep it going because the real meat, the real juicy stuff we got into towards the end. So I highly encourage you to listen all the way through to the end. If you got to do it in installments, it will be worth it. And check out Sammy's music. His music's great. Sammy Arriaga. And find him on Twitter and find him on Instagram at Sammy Arriaga. You can find all of us that make the show happen at Ari's Take on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can find me at Ari Herstand on Twitter and Instagram. Visit aristake.com. Get on that email list. That's where you get the most up-to-date information about the new music business and everything that we discuss concerning that. Please follow or subscribe to this podcast. However you're listening to it right now, if you just want to pause it real quick and hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Yes, you can leave reviews on Spotify, or at least ratings on Spotify. We'd really appreciate it if you'd leave us a 5-star review. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a 5-star review on both Apple Podcasts, let us know what you think, and Spotify, however you're listening to this right now. And leave us a review or a comment on YouTube. I love leaving those, and I try to get back to everyone I can. All right, let's kick into the show. Sammy Arriaga, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Ari? How you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling good. Meta Girl hat. I love that. We're going to talk all about Meta Girl in a little bit. Great song. But I want to start off. You have one of the most interesting journeys of a musician out there that, frankly, I've ever heard. in the new music business in like the last 10 years. You've bounced around and kind of touched all these different elements of a music career that you could, all different elements that we talk about that we usually highlight from various people that do that, whether you're a major label artist or you're killing it on TikTok or you do the NFT thing or you're, but you've touched all of them and have kind of combining it all. And I haven't discovered that or seen that from one artist. So I'm really excited to dig into all of this today and just to hear about the journey. I don't typically I don't usually ask for the background because I usually like to get into the meat and potatoes right away. But with you, I think the background's really important. So if you could start off and just give us your history in your career history in music and kind of how you got to where you are now and just step us through the journey. That's such an interesting story.
Thanks, bro. That was an incredible intro, man. That's it's incredible. My name is Sammy Arriaga. As you could tell from my last name, I got some Latino roots in me. Mm-hmm. I'm from Miami, Florida, from a town called Hialeah. It's a running joke in Miami that Hialeah is just a different name for Cuba because everybody that lives in Hialeah is Cuban, pretty much. Okay. So I was raised on everything but country music. I was raised on salsa, merengue, like all types of Latin, Spanish music. And music wasn't in my tools, like in my liking growing up. I was kind of a geek. I was more into like trading cards and video games and whatnot. And I didn't discover music until high school. And I actually met a producer during lunchtime who actually ended up becoming like one of my best friends. I call him my brother because we're so close. He was the first one to convince me to start recording in what you call a closet vocal booth.
Oh yeah.
And we kind of just roughed it out, opened GarageBand, did the whole thing, found instrumentals on YouTube and started off that way. And
what year are we talking here? What years are we talking that you started doing this in high school?
This was I was around maybe 16, 17 years old. Yeah, I was in my junior year of high school. And we were just playing around and it started becoming an obsession. And
we're talking like 2000, 10, 12?
I'd say like 8, 9.
8? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, cool. 8, 9. I started off with talent shows, choir talent shows as well. Mm-hmm. We would play in like the halftime segment during the dance shows of the high school.
And were you doing country at this time, or what kind of music were you playing?
No, it was far from country. It was just like pop R&B, like Usher and like all those R&B boy bands and stuff. So
sure.
But yeah, I mean, it started off that way, just talent shows and singing in the hallways and, buying a journal and just writing random words that rhyme together.
Of course.
And it was cool, man. It just became an obsession real quick and, started playing locally as well. I started branching out of school, started playing restaurants and like local sports bars that had like the ability to do open mics and whatnot. Sure. But I knew that singing was like, it quickly became an obsession and my passion. And so my dad, he suggested that I do the American Idol auditions in 2010. And those were held in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And here's a cool story. So during my auditions, before I got the ticket to Hollywood, I was in the waiting room about to walk in to sing for J-Lo, Randy, and Steven Tyler. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting next to a girl in overalls, blonde girl with like hippie kind of things in her hair and, very, very out there. I loved her vibe, very hipster. And she sang kind of bluesy and her name was Lauren Daigle. Lauren Daigle out of all the people. Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
And me and Lauren auditioned during the same year. And
did she make it?
She did make it to Hollywood, but I don't know if she made it. But I think it's safe to say that after the show, she really did make it. You know what I mean?
Right. Did she make it? Yeah, that's what I meant to Hollywood. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's so funny. There's so many artists that we don't know, or people don't know about, that tried out for one of these TV shows, whether it's American Idol or The Voice or any of the other ones that have come and gone, and then they go on to have a very successful music career. And a lot of them that I hear about oftentimes don't even get on the televised show, and then they become a huge star after they got kicked off and they didn't even air it. So, you know, these TV shows are just that, TV shows. They're not real find the best talent competitions. But how far did you make it on Idol?
So I was able to get the golden ticket that same season. I made it all the way to top 100 in top 200 in Hollywood. Into 2010. It was the year of Scotty McCreery and Lauren Elena.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And I sang a song that was not, I guess, familiar to them. And I wasn't passed on to the next round, unfortunately, but that was enough for me to just pack my bags and just do the whole Nashville trip, and jumped in my car and made the crazy trip to Nashville. And because actually for those auditions, I chose country music because I felt like the genre, even though it has evolved a lot recently, there has been a lot of variety, like, you know, with hip hop and R&B influences.
Sure.
I feel like diversity wise, there hasn't been many artists of the Black culture, Hispanic culture, Asian culture, even the UK. Like, I want to see more. There's a big demographic, country music demographic in the UK. And like, I just want to see more diversity. So that was one of my main reasons for moving to Nashville, is to bring awareness to the country music genre, you know, that there's a lack of Hispanic representation. So I've been here now for 12 years with that being my goal, you know.
Wow. So when you chose to audition for Idol, it was I guess a calculated move on your part to audition with country songs, because you knew it would stand out, and you knew that would help them with your story. And we all 100%. Know, again, TV shows and with the story is so important to like set you apart from everyone else. It's like, oh, here's this kid from Miami, a little Cuba in Miami, where it's like, and singing country
pretty
music, which we don't see too often. So you decide to move to Nashville because you're like, country's going to be my lane. And when you arrived, how many country songs would you say you'd written at that point?
Believe it or not, I hadn't written any country songs.
Okay.
I just knew a few country songs because I knew that if I was going to step into a different genre that I had never ventured in, that out of respect, I should know at least 100 classics. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And definitely. You know, it's just common courtesy to the genre as well. You know, like for an outsider like me, being Hispanic and being from Miami, not country at all. You know, I want to make sure that I kind of defend myself by saying, hey, I know some Waylon, I know some Hank Williams, I know some Johnny Cash. Yeah. And so I'm just happy I did my homework, because that then led to getting a gig downtown on the infamous Broadway strip. Yep, that's right. And got every gig in the book on Broadway. Sure. Played Tootsies, played Rippies, Honky Tonk Central, you name it.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that I went through all that, because, you know, the Broadway scene really thickens your rhino skin. It makes you tough, you know? And like, you know, there's days that you make good tips, and then there's days that you make zero. And so those were trials and tribulations that I did not go through in Miami as a performer.
Sure.
And so I'm just happy that Nashville kind of pulled out the whip and went, you're going there today.
And I mean, it is straight up boot camp. For those of you who haven't been to Nashville or don't understand what we're talking about here, there's one street in Nashville. It's called Broadway. It is lined with bar music venues for a few blocks. And essentially every bar is a music venue or doubles as a music venue. It has a stage, and there's music there. I mean, from noon to 2 a.m. every day, essentially, in a lot of these spots.
Believe it or not, 9 a.m.
9 a.m. music starts.
9 a.m. till 3 in the morning. Yeah.
Now, are you just playing for tips at these spots, or do you get a cut of the bar too? Because all these venues are free. It's not like people are paying tickets to get in there. It's just like, it's almost like your people are bar hopping, going in, you see a band there, you buy a couple drinks, and then they pass the bucket around for tips. How did it work for you?
There's a small base pay.
Oh, there is. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's definitely not fair. I will say. What
are we talking? $50?
I mean, $50 for 4 hours.
For one person or for the whole band?
Well, no, for one person.
Okay.
But still,
that's still not fair. That's
15. That's like $15, not even like $12 an hour.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. But you can make tips, but it is a grind, and it you cut your chops doing that. So it led to something. So what happened next? I mean, there's a Sony record deal somewhere in your near future. I'm curious to how you get there from grinding it out on the Broadway circuit.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about Nashville is that it's a very small town, despite it being like a city. It's, in my opinion, the smallest big town. Uh-huh. That's why the band Little Big Town exists.
Yep.
But that's what they named it after. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I moved here, I was signing up for all like the newsletters and, what's happening this week in Nashville, and, where all these singer songwriters are playing. I would just do my research, and instead of being at home, just, watching TV and doing all that stuff, wasting time, I would go to every event possible. I would just go, post up in a corner, shake hands, ask for people's emails and numbers. Just support other musicians. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just introduce myself and be like, hey, I'm Sammy. I'm new to town. I'm a songwriter. I doubt you'll ever write with me because I'm so new, but like, here's my contact. Let's connect on Instagram. And I was just relentless, man. It was guerrilla marketing, just running all over the town. And after a while of doing that, I was fortunate enough to meet some really powerful players in the game. When it comes to managers, booking agents, you name it. I mean, anything. And I met this one young guy. His name was Zach Koffler. He's a local manager. And we instantly hit it off. And we worked together for quite a while. We worked together for about 4 to 5 years. And he really shaped me to being, the Nashville artist. He taught me what it's like to live in Nashville, what you got to do to truly like cater to Music Row, because Music Row is another strip here in Nashville, which is it's pretty much the music industry road where all the labels, all the publishers are, and where everybody goes to play their songs and pitch it to bigger artists in hopes that they get a big cut. Music Row is where you want to be for country music, and so he kind of taught me about that, and throughout the years, I was fortunate enough to be signed to the 2 booking agencies, CAA and WME. I was a little bit in both, and then I was let go by WME 1 year.
Well, before that, I'm curious. Okay, like that's a really big part of the journey. How did you? So, what did Zach invite them out and say, like, "Hey, Sammy's playing the stage from 8 to midnight tonight. Come check him out." That's how it happens.
Yeah. So Zach just happened to have a really good friend, actually, like a friend from back home that coincidentally did booking agency stuff here in Nashville. And he's like, hey, I want you to come out and check out my new artist that I'm managing. Yeah. He might be cool for the roster and to get him some shows on the road. And so they came by, they checked out the band. Even though my songs weren't up to par, they thought there was some potential there. And so at that point, the booking agency was like, hey, we believe in you. We think you got what it takes to tour, but we got to get your songs better. And so at that point, they were able to make some calls to some bigger songwriters that I probably would have not have access to. Nice. And because they did it, the writers were more bound to be like, yeah, sure, I'll write with him. And so that was kind of like my way in on the writing scene, getting the stamp of validation from both my manager and my booking agent. And I was able to kind of, make some noise in the writing scene and prove to people that I had some different melodies to offer, different song concepts, especially being from Miami and being raised on a different genre. These guys are raised on country music. So the way that they emote lyrics and emote melodies are night and day from the way that I would. So it was a cool little marriage there, So I had that up my sleeve, which is really cool. And just did that for tons, like maybe 2 or 3 years of like just writing nonstop until I had a catalog of about 1,000 original songs. And then we sat down with my manager and picked out the best 10 out of the 1,000.
Out of 1,000?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my, that, there
it's
you go.
Easy to dissect.
I mean, I remember when I was talking with Andy Grammer and how he writes 100 songs for each album and then picks the best 10. You're the first person I've heard that's written 1,000 songs to pick the first 10, but that's great. I mean, that there's your 10,000 hours right there. I mean, if you really want to talk about it, it's just like you're coming from not a country background, but to become a hit country songwriter, that's what it takes. You got to write 1,000 country songs with some of the best country songwriters in the world, which are where you live in Nashville. So that's pretty cool. So you make your you pick the 10.
That's right.
Then do you decide to cut them?
Yeah. So in Nashville, we have these studio sessions called demo sessions, where a studio engineer will hire out a band, like drums, bass, guitar, piano, acoustic guitars and whatnot. And they'll have a demo session from like noon to like 6. And the band just hears an iPhone recording maybe once or twice and like writes down the chords that you played in the iPhone work tape and does all the grids and stuff and like to make sure that they know where all the changes are and whatnot. And they go into the studio, pick up their instrument and play it as if it's a hit record. Like it's insane. Wow. Yeah, these guys are insanely gifted. And so I would pretty much call my friend who was a studio engineer who held these demo sessions. And I would go, hey man, I wrote one song this week that I think has the potential to be one of those 10. Can I sneak it into your schedule? Yep. And so you would like pretty much just call the engineer, find a time slot that works for you. And literally, I kid you not, like these musicians will play the record from top to bottom in 20 minutes.
Wow.
And it'll be done. It'll sound like a final. Like it'll sound like you just heard like a radio. Yeah. Like a radio hit.
And then you come in later and track the vocals?
Cut the vocal. Yep.
Okay.
We come in later, cut the vocals, maybe add some like auxiliary, how do you say auxiliary? Auxiliary instruments like percussion and like saxophone and whatever you want.
Sure.
And then you would obviously just hire a mixing and mastering engineer and you call it a day. And so that's what I did for a while. And so that really benefited me when it came to like meeting with publishers and record labels. You want to make sure that whenever you present a record, that you present it in the right light, because that might be the one and only light that you'll have with that person.
That's right.
It's kind of like your first impression musically. So you want to make sure the bar is set high. And especially with me, my goal was to blend my Latin roots with modern country. And so I had to find that beautiful synergy of country musicians with Latin musicians and create that marriage so that when I presented it to the labels, they knew what the vision and the algorithm was there.
So then did you take these 10 songs and just start shopping on Music Row? Is that how it went?
Yeah. So that's pretty much what we did. Zach went around with me and we just met with every publisher in town and showed them my skills when it comes to writing in hopes that I can land a publishing deal, because in Nashville, it's pretty common that a new artist that comes to town will start by getting a publishing deal because the publishers have the keys to producers and A&Rs to then get you the record deal. It's all, it all works as a perfect symbiosis. And so I started off that way in 2015. I was fortunate enough to have met somebody from the Sony ATV department. And at the time I was actually working with a brand new manager. His name was Charles Chavez out of LA. Okay. He had discovered me through a Gibson writing camp that was held in Beverly Hills for the Latin market. I was actually writing Spanish music that week. Wow. And he heard my stuff and thought, hey, I've never worked on a country artist, but I specialize in Latin music and, pop records and stuff globally. I think it'd be cool to like shop you in Nashville as my first Nashville act and see what I can do with you, you know?
Sure.
And so I gave it a shot, and sure enough, 2 weeks later, you know, we managed to land a deal, a writing deal, with, Sony ATV Global out of New York City. And then that just kind of became a domino effect, and we got the Sony Nashville record deal shortly after that.
Nice.
And then when I signed to Sony Nashville, I was working with the A&R team there and kind of told them what the vision was, and they were kind enough to let me use a producer that I enjoyed working with, which is pretty rare. They usually pick out the producer for you, but I was able to have some flexibility there. So I used my friend Brad Hill and Lalo Guzman to co-produce my first major label EP on Sony Nashville. And it was a 6-song project. Yep, it's called Meet in the Middle. 6-song project that really showcased, you know, that fusion between my Latin upbringing and pop country.
Sure.
And unfortunately, the relationship with Sony Nashville was short-lived. And the EP came out, and like a few months later, we were actually let go by the record label.
So we're talking, this is 2017, the EP is released. And how did that happen? So they put the EP out, and it, like, no major hits came from that or whatever. They probably weren't pushing it. And then from how long are we talking from when it was released to when the relationship ended, to when they're like, you know what, this isn't working out anymore, you're dropped?
Oh man, it was pretty instant. It was,
Wow.
it was relentless. I mean, they hadn't put a dime into marketing, into radio, into nothing. I literally just got out the studio, sent them the email that the songs were done. And within the 2 months of being ready with the project, they were like, hey, we ran the project by the team, and it seems like the team is not vibing with it. You know, I don't know if this project is, you know, exactly what we envisioned. You know, we're going to let you walk away.
Wow.
And so at the time I was like, wow, after all that work, you're just going to like end it just like that. But looking back now, it was the biggest blessing.
Oh yeah.
It was such a huge blessing. So that never happens. And you know that.
I know. I mean, a lot of times they'll lock you in for years, and they'll shelve your record and they won't release it. And they'll say, yeah, well, you're under contract, and, you know, we're not, because a lot of the times the major record labels don't want to release an artist because they don't want to make the bad call. If where another label picks them up and they become a huge star, then they're the idiots over here that let this huge star go because they couldn't figure out how to make it happen. So that's why oftentimes, more times than not, labels don't just drop or release the artist. They hold on to them for as long as they possibly can. I mean, even if you look at like Megan Thee Stallion, who is already a huge star, what they're doing with her is she turns in a record, and they're like, and they release this full-length album, and then they're like, oh yeah, this, by the way, doesn't count towards your quota of the number of albums that you're supposed to turn in. And they find some dumb loophole. They're like, well, because it wasn't all original recordings for new blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. Labels make all these slimy tricks to lock their artists in for as long as possible. And they, you know, what's called shelving the album, where they sometimes never even release it and just kind of keep you in there in this purgatory. So fortunately, they released you. They said, okay, we're going to let you walk away. So I'm assuming they'll keep the rights to Meet in the Middle that they put out, but all future music, you can do whatever you want. You can just like record and release on your own. Is that right?
Yeah. So the cool thing is that Sony, not only were they generous enough to let me walk away, but I was in a really luxurious spot where, you know, the money that they had offered to record this project, they were kind of left with that debt. I didn't have to pay it back.
So they gave you an advance, and normally you would recoup that. But if they drop you, then it's kind of over. And unlike a bank loan. Yeah,
that's right. It's a blow that they had to take. And, but it's cool because, you know, I saw it as a compliment. You know, from above, that it was like, look, Sammy, I'm going to prove to you that you have what it takes to be on those labels.
There you go.
But I'm not going to lock you into a label. And so it took me a while to really lock that in my head. because, I just come from a very, big city mentality. I'm prideful. I'm hungry. I want to win. And
Sure.
When something like that happens, I felt like, how could you? But at this, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it was the biggest blessing, So moving on from that point on, I was fully independent. I kind of regained ownership of all my masters. Not my publishing, because I was still signed to the publishing side of things at Sony TV in New York. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to release the stuff that I want to release sonically. And I started dropping songs left and right. Started with a song called Break Up a Band. And I produced that one with my friend Lalo Guzman. He's a killer producer here in town. And it did really well, starting off for an independent artist. I felt really happy with how it did.
And what were their marketing and promotional things that you were doing if it did really well? What does that mean?
Honestly, man, I was just kind of going by Spotify and Apple Music numbers, as every other artist kind of looks at. But I fortunately had platforms like Instagram. I had Facebook. Believe it or not, TikTok wasn't around like when I was dropping those masters on my own. But I had a pretty good social presence in Nashville, so I was playing the song out in town as well at all my shows. Cool. And so it was more of an organic thing. I really don't I get it that marketing is very important, but at the end of the day, everything you've seen on online, my Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Most of the times, I'm not paying a dime for marketing. It's all just been my fans and just my supporters really, telling their friends about the music and just streaming the living crap out of the music. I've just been, I've been really grateful with how, with the fan base that I've been able to.
So I'm looking at your numbers, in these songs and we're talking hundreds of thousands of streams, which is great, but that doesn't pay your bills. So talk to me about, you're getting a great response, but in the grand scheme of things, are you making a living?
Yes. So, of course, like you said, streams are very, volatile. They're not something you could depend on for, to make a living on, unless you're in the 100 millions, you know what I mean? Right. But at that point, most those numbers are usually, from artists that are locked into these crazy deals. But while I did that, I was still performing a lot in Nashville. I was still playing those cover gigs in different locations. There's a place here in Nashville called Opryland Resort. And I had worked there for quite a while. I was there for about 4 years. I was on their artist roster where, they'd have me perform 4 straight hours of cover music from 2 to 6.
Wow.
And then sometimes from 7 to 11. Yeah. And there was some brutal days, man. I'll never forget. There was one day that I played a total of 12 hours at the same place. Ooh. Yeah, nonstop. Just a lot of water, a lot of breaks. But, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to pay those bills, So
there you go. So fast forward me to, you had some TikTok success. So tell me how you got into the TikTok realm and what that all looked like.
Man, it's funny because I had a lot of friends from Nashville that hopped on a TikTok train pretty early on.
We're talking how early? Late 2019, early 2020, or?
Well, yeah, they got on like 2019.
Okay.
I didn't discover it till 2020. Okay. I believe April of 2020 to be exact. Cool. And I started off with the world's cringiest dance.
Oh, you were dancing?
Yeah. Oh man, no, yeah.
Are you a dancer? Can you break out some moves?
Nope, not happening. No.
Okay.
No. But
you
started off with a dance, just thinking that would trigger my algorithm, whatever it took to break it, and just did the whole pull up what's trending and try to imitate what's trending and all that stuff. Sure. Did that for about 3-4 months. And wasn't really clicking, it was just kind of 10 views here, 20 views here, 35 views there. I would even get happy if I got 100. I was like, oh snap, like I got 100. And I just kept going. I kept posting like a ton of stuff. I kept posting cover videos of me singing cover songs. And then fast forward from April till December 2020.
Yep.
I just I called my friend Ashley Cook, who's a killer singer-songwriter here in town. And she knows all the tricks. She was already on TikTok quite a bit. And I told her, I'm like, hey, look, I'm trying to do what you're doing, where you import your demo audio into TikTok so that I could lip sing over my demo. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, this is the trick. And so she taught me the trick on how to like play your song while it's on Dropbox. You do a screen recording with your volume all the way up. And then once you're done, once you hit that mark where you want to finish the audio sound, you hit stop, and then you upload that as a private video on TikTok. She gave me the whole step by step. And then I'm like, okay, I have it in the system now. Let me go do an actual video and lip sync over my demo. So I went to my kitchen, found a well-lit spot, and it was my song, Take My Phone. It hadn't been out yet. It was unreleased. It was just a demo on my Dropbox. And I kid you not, Ari, overnight, we got 1.2 million views.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was insanity. Overnight. It was like,
that's nuts.
I went from having a page that only got like 200, maybe 100 views per video to having like 1.2 million. I had never in my life seen my phone blow up the way that it did. It was insanity. Yeah. And so I just kept pumping the song that same week. I just kept pumping.
Did you release it?
I did. That same Friday I dropped it.
There you go.
Yeah. And we've been blessed, man. That song's been out now for almost a year and a half. And it's already gotten about 1.8 million plays on Spotify, about 1 million on Apple Music, half a million on YouTube.
At the time, you knew that you were in a moment that the song was blowing up. It wasn't released yet. So you quickly, what service did you use to get it out that quickly?
I luckily was using a distribution company called Command Shift.
Okay.
They got a few locations. They have one here in Nashville.
Sure.
And I have a rep there that I hit up whenever I need something like this to occur. And I'm like, hey, here's the wave. Here's the title of the song. Here are the writers. Do your thing. Yeah. This needs to be out by Friday, no matter what.
Yeah.
And if you could get it out sooner, do it sooner.
Yeah.
And they're like, Sammy, like if we do it this week, you won't get on the release radar. You won't get on the editorials. Like, we can't do it this quick. And I'm like, I don't care. We can't lose this virality.
Smart.
And so they dropped it and the people just ran with it. And I had a pre-save link. And I will say that was one of the most important things to have is the pre-save link. I tell all my friends that reach out to me when it comes to like, posting about songs that aren't released yet, don't post about it unless you have somewhere to lead them. Because if you can get 8,000, 7,000 pre-saves on a song, when the song drops, you don't have to go and do your, go on your comments and go, hey, it's out. You don't got to do that because it's automatically going to save to their playlist. So if you can have that link ready in your bio or, under your profile picture, ready to click so that in your video, you can go pre-save in my bio.
Yep.
You have to have that ready, because you don't want to miss out and get a 4 million viewed video without anywhere to lead them.
Song. Right.
They can't find the song. So,
yeah. Incredible. So, I mean, we're talking, this is, what is this, 2021 at this point?
Yeah.
Or so?
Yeah, I would say
this
January
is all popping
of 2021. Off? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is happening. And then a normal person would be like, I did it. I cracked it. I got it. All I got to do is keep doing these TikToks and the streams are going to roll in and everything like that. But then you decided to then pivot yet again. And tell me about how you got into NFTs. And now we got to do a deep dive into this journey because this is, the numbers and just like the journey that you did with NFTs. And I want to hear all about it. So tell me how you discovered all this and jumping into that.
Yeah, man. So I did the TikTok thing for about a year and a half. Still doing it, but
Sure.
not to the same level.
Yeah.
But last October, I was in Miami, and one of my good friends, Lalo, he is one of my childhood music collaborators.
Mm-hmm.
And
Lalo
he's like, "Hey,
Guzman, the
look."
producer that you've been working with, or a
No,
different
it's
Lalo?
actually a different Lalo. Yeah.
How many Lalos?
They're
This is
everywhere, man. There's so many
okay.
Lalos in my
Got
life. I got Lalo
it.
Guzman. I got Lalo Jaramillo. But
Cool.
yeah, man, yeah. So I met up with him in Miami, and
Mm-hmm.
we were just talking. And he was like, "Look, I've been doing this thing lately called it's called NFTs. You know,
Yep.
these little images are called NFTs, where you tokenize your art, pretty much, or anything. You can literally
Mm-hmm.
tokenize anything." And he's like, "I really think you should consider studying about NFTs and about Web3. It's the next evolution of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it'll benefit you, especially with the fan base that you've been able to acquire from TikTok.
Yep.
He's like, I think you have a very loyal fan base, and I think the concept of digital collectible is something that they would be willing to support you in." So he's like, "Let me give you a little rundown." So we got coffee, and he gave me the 101, and downloaded all the apps that were required to dive into this new world, and started jumping into Web3. In other words, NFTs and crypto. Started
Mm-hmm.
really getting involved into investing into cryptocurrencies, and then learning about how to invest into NFTs, because in order to buy an NFT, you need a cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
There have been instances already that you can actually buy an NFT with USD, but at the time it was strictly cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
So believe it or not, Twitter is or has become the main hub for NFTs at the moment.
Sure.
All these projects are dropping on Twitter, and they're creating Discord channels, which was commonly used in the gaming scene, and now they're very commonly used in the NFT scene for
Mm-hmm.
projects to kind of stay in touch with their communities and keep everybody updated. But in November of 2021, that's when I started making my first NFT investments. I didn't come into the space with the mentality of I'm going to start selling something. I came in with the mentality of I want to be a consumer.
Okay.
I want to see what it's like to be the fan, to be the consumer first. And so I took out some money from my savings, because the rule is only spend what you can afford to lose.
Sure. It's like gambling.
So I started. It's like gambling, literally. Yeah, I was trying not to use that word,
Right.
but yes, it is kind of, yeah. But yes, I started investing into NFTs. I started like doing my research and looking into some projects that spoke to me and resonated with me.
And how would you find these projects? Just on Twitter, you'd be in these communities, and someone would be promoting their NFT, and you say, "Oh, that sounds interesting," and you just go buy it.
Yeah, so Lalo gave me some points to start. He told me some accounts to kind of follow. You know how like Twitter, like let's say you follow 10 accounts, and then it'll kind of give you a suggested.
Yep.
So then once I saw the suggested, I just kind of like started spam following, and just so I could be in the know of what's happening. And then Twitter actually implemented this really cool technology called Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
And Twitter Spaces is kind of like their reimagination of Clubhouse. If you guys know what Clubhouse is, it's
audio. It's essentially social audio, and so there's no video, and you can just tap into a group, and you can either just listen. It's almost like panel discussions at a conference, but just in audio form, and you can kind of raise your hand to come up on quote unquote stage, or just like they can call you up and you can join the conversation audio only. Correct.
Yeah. So luckily I had that at my disposal when I first jumped in. So going back to Sammy, when he first moved to Nashville, I kind of tapped back into that version of me, and I raised my hand in every room. I was like, "Hey guys, hey guys, hey guys." It was nonstop. And luckily I had a verified account. And so, they were very, they just love the verification badge. So I got really lucky with that. Thank God. Even though I think verification badges are dumb, but yeah,
it's a social currency that some people respect. So there you go.
Exactly. It doesn't make anybody better than anybody else.
Right.
But got up on stage, said hello, told them what I do. And, one little thing that I did that I feel like was one of the main reasons why I feel like I've been able to connect so well in the NFT space with other people is that I invested first in their community before I even chose to speak. So on Twitter, you have the ability to not only change your profile picture, but they just implemented that you can validate that you have their NFT with a hexagon.
Right.
And so I made my NFT, my profile picture, my NFT. So it shows that I not only have their NFT, but it shows as a hexagon. So it's proof that I have it. Right.
Yep.
And so when I raise my hand and ask to speak, the first thing they say is, "Oh, wow, you have one of our NFTs. Nice to meet you."
Cool.
And so like they're way more receptive and way more cool and laid back. And so I kind of approached the space in that light early on. Wasn't asking for anything. I was just simply community building, meeting people, following everybody back and just being part of the community. You know what I'm saying? Sure. So did that for about 3-4 months. And then when I felt in my soul that it was the right time to drop something.
Yep.
And to create a song that was kind of catered to the crypto NFT space. I went ahead and did that. I created the song Meta Girl, and I felt like that was a cool way to kind of win some of the community over, because that's the world that they live in every day. They're literally playing with cryptocurrencies and NFTs day in and day out. So for them, that song was very, very familiar. And so that's what I did. I dropped Meta Girl in February, and I was very blessed that all the 2022, correct. And I was very blessed that all the communities that I had invested in and spent so much quality time with, they came through. How do
you promote that? How did you explain how they came through, and how did you even let them know that you have this new NFT in the form of a song?
So the cool thing is that I was able to migrate a lot of music lovers that heard me sing on Twitter Spaces to my Discord.
Wait, you would sing on Twitter Spaces? You left that part out. So I thought you would raise your hand and you'd just be like, "Hi, I'm Sammy, I'm a musician. Let's talk NFTs." But you would say, "Hi, I'm Sammy, I'm a musician. Can I play a song?"
Yeah, every once in a while. If it felt right and I felt like I wasn't an intruder, I would just throw it out there. I'd go, "Hey guys, like you guys have been talking for a while. I think you guys need a music break."
There you go.
And so I would just go and plug myself and sing my tunes. And after a while of doing that, there wasn't a lot of people doing that early on, like around October, November, December. And so I kind of created the idea of like being a Twitter busker. And so I was busking all over Twitter Spaces. Like I would literally like go into one that said like 100 people, go in and sing a song. I'd leave and then go look for another one, 300 people, go in there, sing another one. And then I just like busk and busk and busk. And I did that. I did that for a while, and until I felt like a lot of people were just familiar with who I was and what I did. And I'm just blessed that Twitter Spaces existed, because I mean, it's to have an audio platform, an audio technology that I can showcase my music was the key. It was literally the key of it all.
So then when you dropped this NFT, did you go into the same Twitter Spaces and say, "Hey, can I play a song? Yes, by the way, you can buy this as an NFT right now"?
Correct. So there was times in which, like, let's say I would hop up on a stage and people would go, "Hey, it's Sammy. What's up? Are you going to sing us a song?" And I'm going to go and I would say, "Yeah, I'd love to sing you guys a song, but just so you know, that song you've been hearing for the past 2 or 3 months, you can now buy it as an NFT." And so these people just love collecting. They're literally avid collectors. So they're like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" Pin something to the top of the room, which is something that you can do on Twitter Spaces. You could pin a tweet to the top of a chat room so that everybody in the room can see what everybody's talking about.
Wow.
So I would pin my tweet and it would say, "Minting is now live. You can now buy my music NFT." click this link, and then it
And were
would
you
get
sending them
redirected.
to where OpenSea or Nifty Gateway, or what was the marketplace you were using for Metagirl for this?
So it started off as a custom website. People would buy it first from my website before it went to secondary. So the website acted as my primary.
So let me get this straight, because I've done quite a bit of research on NFTs. We've had a bunch of guests talking about NFTs. Every NFT I've ever heard of has sold it on a marketplace like a OpenSea or a Nifty Gateway, or, you know, Quincy Jones has his one of, or, I mean, there's countless marketplaces out there. You're saying you didn't use one of these marketplaces. You had your own website that you could sell it directly. I don't even know how that worked. How do you even make something like that happen?
Yeah. So how it works is the structure for the new like NFT website is that they'll have the ability for you to connect your crypto wallet prior to entering the website.
Whoa.
So right when you enter, let's say the Bored Ape Yacht Club, let's say the Bored Ape Yacht Club is minting. Right when you enter their website, it'll give you a prompt and it'll say, hey, welcome to the Bored Ape Yacht Club website. We are now minting. In order to mint, you need to connect your wallet. And so that acts as the primary marketplace before it goes on
like
secondary.
A MetaMask, something like that, where if you have a crypto
Coinbase,
wallet.
Coinbase wallet, Trust wallet, there's all kinds. But once you connect your wallet, it'll analyze how much crypto you have in your wallet. And then it'll tell you, okay, minting is now live. How many do you want? And so then you can pick whatever they decide to give you. Sometimes people will limit it at 5. Sometimes they'll do 10. Sometimes they'll do 20. I did 5 for my project. So people would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, confirm. The gas fee prompt will pop up for your wallet and your Ethereum. If you like the gas fee, you'll hit confirm. It'll analyze. And once the confirmation goes through on the blockchain, it'll drop the NFTs into your crypto wallet.
To get into the mechanics a little bit deeper with this, when you say it's minting, when you launched this, I believe you had 3,500. Is that correct? 3,501.
Correct. The goal was to, so my collection consisted of 3,501 initially. But at the time of sellout, we decided to close the mint at 1,500 to focus on the next song and also to create more scarcity for the Genesis holders.
So, okay. So and when you launched this, just so I can understand how the mechanics work, you didn't actually mint anything in advance. You had people come in, click mint this, and then it would get created on the spot on the blockchain and then get sent to them. Is that how it works?
Correct.
Wow.
Yes. It gets transferred from where all the files of all the NFTs are. It pulls it out of that file and then it'll drop it into their crypto wallet. But the NFT will not appear on the secondary market, which is OpenSea or Coinbase NFT, until somebody decides to resell it.
Oh, okay. So I was looking at OpenSea earlier, and I was noticing that there's almost 1,500. I mean, there's 1,499 items of your Metagirl on OpenSea. So you're saying all of these people have essentially relisted it on OpenSea? This is now the secondary market.
So that's the total collection. Okay. You're able to see it once after sellout. You're able to see all the images on OpenSea, every individual one. But if you hit the Buy Now tab on the top left where it says status, you hit Buy Now. It'll give you a number. It'll say etc. items. And I think right now it says 39 or 40.
34 that I'm seeing right 30, now. Yeah.
34. See, so there's out of 1,500, only 34 are listed on the floor at the moment.
I gotcha. Oh, okay. So OpenSea can catalog. They're basically doing their own search of the blockchain of Ethereum, and they're seeing, oh, this item, there are 1,500 on the blockchain. We only have 34 on OpenSea available right now if you want to buy it.
Correct. I'll give you a perfect example. Here we go. Urban Outfitters is not Urban Outfitters. Let's say Serta Mattress, like you're buying a mattress.
Sure.
Serta Mattress has Serta.com. So you go to Certa.com and you can buy it straight off their website.
Yep.
But you got a website like Amazon that can also buy Certa mattresses and then resell them on their platform through what's called the secondary marketplace. That's the exact situation that happens with NFTs. NFTs will have their own site. Well, they'll sell the whole collection first until sellout. And then once they're done with sellout, they'll turn off their mint button.
Yep.
And then they'll focus solely on the secondary market, which is OpenSea, LooksRare, etc.
And you get paid from the secondary market too. You're making a percentage royalties for every sale, right?
That's right. Yep. You could actually set that yourself. It's custom. I believe OpenSea allows up to a 10% creator fee.
Okay.
I myself have a 10% for my collection. Okay. I've seen other collections that I'm a part of being 7.5, 5%. It all depends on the founders.
I've seen 20% on different marketplaces. So I didn't realize OpenSea was capped at 10%, but I mean, you can go up even higher. So you sold it on, what was the primary sale price on your website?
So for pre-sale, for those who reserved a spot on what's called the whitelist, a whitelist is a spot where you're reserving a spot to mint the NFT for a discounted price. Okay, cool. That's what whitelist means. So if anybody lands a whitelist spot, that means that they're going to be able to mint for a discounted price. Okay. And before anybody else, before it goes public.
Got it. And how much was that?
That was 0.05 Ethereum.
0.05 Ethereum. And how many of those did you sell?
We sold 1,000 units in under 48 hours.
Incredible. Wow. Okay. 1,000 units and at 0.05 Ethereum equals how many USD? What at the time that you were selling this? I would say, what is it? 3,000 at the time?
Yeah, it was like 3,000 at the time. And you do 0.05, that's $150 times 1,000. That was $150,000 in 2 days.
$150,000 in 2 days. Wow. And okay. And what was included in this NFT? What was this? I'm looking at it right now, and it's kind of this like it's a cool visual art piece here that's 7 seconds long, but like how is it attached to the song, and were there any other perks that you got by being an owner of the NFT?
Yeah, so the Meta Girl illustration that you're seeing on OpenSea was inspired by how things that once they're recorded on the blockchain, they are what you call immutable. As in, like, once they're recorded on the blockchain, you cannot change it. Right. So I felt like there was something beautiful there when it came to love. And imagine love being written on the blockchain. It would be indestructible. It would be never ending. You know what I'm saying? And so I instantly came up with the concept of a beating digital heart that no matter what destruction would come through the earth, it would forever keep pumping and keep beating. Love prevails, literally. That's what that heart represents. Even if the apocalypse were to fly through, the heart still remains. Nice. And so I've always been a fan of steampunk art. Cool. And which is like, kind of like the vibe of what the heart you're seeing. And a good friend of mine that I had met in the time that I was investing into NFTs, his name is Hadi the Creator. And he was actually the original artist of a collection called the Apocalyptic Apes. They also just released a collection called the Queen Apes. Some of the best art in the game, in my opinion. And Hadi happened to have listened to my music during the time, and him and his family became fans of my music. And he was very generous and said, "Hey man, I would love to help you out in some way. Let me know. My daughter loves your music. Let's collab." And so I'm like, cool, man. Like, I actually have a song coming out. This is the idea I had for it. Maybe you can mock up a heart for me, like a steampunk post-apocalyptic heart in the desert somewhere. Yeah. And so I sent him some examples of what I was thinking about. And he's like, all right, give me a few days and I'll mock up something. And so, with a little back and forth and, a little creativity, we came up with the post-apocalyptic digital heart. And that's what you're saying. So
cool.
Yeah.
So you get the heart. Now I read something on your website that you get your digital key to a curated NFT music experience. You get colored ETH jewels. You can unlock exclusive recordings, remixes, music videos, interviews, custom merch. You can enter the Infinity Gauntlet. Collect all 5 colored ETH jewels to complete the MG Infinity Gauntlet to earn the beatbox. Can you explain all this?
I got you, brother. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So when you hit play on the recording, if you go back to OpenSea and you hit play on the recording, you will actually notice that when you zoom in, like when you full screen the NFT, you actually might have to refresh the metadata. I'll teach you a little something here. Click outside of that.
Okay.
And then on the top right above where it says #993, there's a little circle squiggly. The first one. Yep. Click that. And then refresh your screen. Sometimes the metadata might bug out.
Interesting. Should I try it again?
Just try to go to a different listing. Okay. Sometimes OpenSea can get a little buggy because of the activity on the blockchain.
Gotcha. Interesting. So,
there you go.
Oh, that's a different one. That's cool.
Yep. There you go. So that is actually the 3D version of the digital heart. Yeah. And so that was,
and his song's playing. Okay. Sick.
That's right. Yep.
Cool.
So the full song of Meta Girl is attached to that NFT. If you look closely, there's a jewel on the heart, and that's actually the Ethereum jewel. It's the same Ethereum. Yeah. And so we decided that, in this post-apocalyptic world, this heart literally pumps on ethereal energy. And so, so I wanted to kind of keep that theme going, especially since this is my first release on the Ethereum blockchain. And so if you notice, this is a yellow one, but throughout the collection, we actually have 4 different colors. We have yellow, purple, red, green, and blue.
Okay.
And we made it where if anybody were to collect all 5 colors, they win an IRL merch box, an actual physical merch box mailed to their door. Yep, there it is.
Wow.
Yep.
So this is the green one. Cool. Yeah,
that's right. Yep. And so they interchange, throughout the collection. And so if you were to collect all 5, you win what's called the Gauntlet box. The beat box as well. We had different names for it. The community just loved renaming it, but it was initially called the beat box, like a heartbeat.
Sure.
And so they're pretty much just boxes with custom merch, like hoodies, t-shirts, ball
physical
caps,
stuff. We're talking
beanies. Yeah, physical.
So like the hat you're wearing right now, the Meta Girl hat.
Yeah, like this kind of hat. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And you would send it to them. They could redeem this.
Yes. So once they collected all the 5 colors, they would get an actual box with stickers, a thank you card with my signature, and a personal thank you note for being a collector. And we had a deadline by March 15th. You had to collect all the colors.
Gotcha.
So that only applied for everybody before March 15th. Anybody that collected all 5 before that deadline received the box in the mail, and they're rocking their merch in real life. So it's a little gift, a little gift from me to them,
Amazing.
For going that
so
far.
you sold 50. What was our numbers? 50 in 48 hours. Was that what you said? No, 1,000.
It was 1,000 units. Yes.
1,000 units in 48 hours. But you said you've sold 1,500 or so total time. And did the price change? Because you said there was a pre-order of 0.05 ETH and then it went up.
Yes. So anything after 1,000 units, it turned into 0.07 ETH.
Okay.
So if you do the math on that,
0.07
on 3,000, 0.07, that's 210 times 500. That's 105. So
you made over $250,000 in what, a month, 2 months?
I'd say roughly almost 2 months. Yes. The mint started on February 25th and we sold out mid-April. So wow. Like almost 2 months.
That's incredible. And just so if we understand how crypto and NFTs work, because like numbers get thrown around all the time when we're talking like startups and VC and valuation, and so-and-so's worth X number of billions, or the stock went up here and the crypto went down there and my portfolio's up and my 401k is down. And like, all of that is like not real money to me. It's like, oh man, they just lost $3 billion in their valuation. But it's like, no one really lost any money and no one really gained any money, because all valuations, all fake numbers, it's all fake money. I don't really understand any of that. It's same with stocks. And even with crypto going up and down, it's like, when does it become real money where it's like, oh, my bank account now actually swelled up where I can buy something other than an NFT or other than like more crypto? Do you keep all that in your crypto wallet to then play around with in the NFT space, or do you cash it out and then reinvest that into your music or invest that into a new site or like, tell me about how that works when it comes to the actual money that's gained from NFTs.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like you said, everything's very, very back and forth. Nothing's steady. Everything's constantly like, the volatility is just insane. I mean, not everybody could deal with that all day. But I look at it like a bucket. Like you leave a bucket on the road, you're kind of you're taking a chance that bucket is going to fill up with water if it rains, right? So like if that cryptocurrency were to gain in value, it'll start raining money, correct? And so then that bucket starts getting filled up and filled up and filled up. You have the option of going and grabbing the lever of that bucket and pulling it out whenever you want,
sure,
and converting that crypto back into USD at any time that you want. Now you might run the risk that when that bucket hits the brim and it's filled with water, but then a super drought comes through, which is a bearish market, that water is going to get dried out. But
which is what we're in right now. I mean, we're talking, you're at the peak of when you sold it, it's lost a third of its value, essentially, is where ETH is right now. So how do you feel about this market? Are you like, have you kept your money in? Have you taken it out? Are you in it for the long haul?
Everybody's got different mentalities about bullish and bearish markets. When I started off in this space, I was a holder. I was a diamond hander. I still am for certain projects. I want to show my loyalty and I won't sell certain things because they were gifts or they're communities that I'm very, very close with. But like in a situation like this one, I see it as a great opportunity to buy. It's a great entry point because I know I'm very passionate and bullish on certain cryptocurrencies. Bullish means like I believe in it very much. You
believe in them, yeah.
Yes.
Which ones do you believe in right now?
I love ApeCoin. ApeCoin is definitely like my favorite cryptocurrency at the moment. They are the
even
official
though they
currency.
dropped the ball on their metaverse launch, and that was a whole shit show.
They did and they didn't. Okay. I have my arguments on that.
Sure.
People went and bought the other side with Ethereum during that drop, when the whole time they were promoting powered by ApeCoin, powered by ApeCoin, powered by ApeCoin. They actually did an exclusive deal with OpenSea so that when the drop happens and people go and try to buy them on OpenSea, you use their currency. They want you to use their currency. So I did that. I stacked up on ApeCoin and I had enough to purchase a piece of land for myself.
Sure.
And I bought it with ApeCoin. And my gas fee was not $3,000, $5,000. It was like $30.
Sure. Yeah.
So because I listened to them and I followed the rules, correct? Now, the only thing that I wish they would have done, which this is not a stab at the Yuga Labs ecosystem at all, because I love them. I'm super bullish on the Yuga Labs, but communication in general is very key in this space. People want to be prepared. People want to know, when to have liquidity. They just want to be ready, you know? And so the communication could have been better. But aside from that, I really do believe in Yuga Labs and Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, you know, that ecosystem. And ApeCoin has huge potential. So that's one that I'm really looking at the moment. Of course, Ethereum. I'm an Ethereum maxi. I truly think Ethereum this is just a start. If anything, we're pretty blessed right now to be able to enter at 1975, because in August they're going to be presenting the next evolution of Ethereum, which is Ethereum 2.0, which will be way more gas efficient, and transaction speeds will be, if not double.
They're moving from proof of work to proof of stake.
Correct.
And the gas fees, but in part, it's also much better for the environment because it's not using as much energy. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. And right. I mean, you know, I am a very, very, very passive crypto trader. I bought a bunch of Ethereum at 2,500, and now we're looking at, like you said, 1,975 or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I've lost a bunch, but it's like you got to sit on it because it's going to go up and down. And it's just like, if we're where, you know, the stock market was in end of 2008 or something like that, it's just like, yeah, you don't sell then, you wait until it comes back up, and it's probably going to come back. And during that switch, it'll probably go gangbusters, hopefully. And
I'll give you a little bit of kind of like what I do to kind of keep my hopes up, which kind of like lessen the blow of seeing my crypto be so volatile. With being in the NFT space, you know, I do a lot of research on new collections, ones that are doing well, you know, ones that were like an ETH, and then they came back down to like, I don't know, 0.3. And then now they're going crazy out of nowhere.
Tell me about that.
So I'll give you a perfect example. So I'm currently part of a collection called the Degen Tunes.
Okay.
And they're doing insanely well right now. For a long time, they were holding at 0.6 Ethereum, which is currently about $1,200, maybe $1,400 to own one.
Sure.
Correct. In USD. But they broke that ceiling, and they went nuts. And they're currently sitting at 3.
Wow. And, so, and how does that happen?
Yeah. Communities and announcements. Okay. And let's say they had no fun stuff happening in the community, and out of nowhere they announced, we're doing a free airdrop to all of our holders. You must have two of our NFTs to qualify. Sure. And then people lose their mind. They're like, I want that free thing. And then boom, bye. So then all that crypto that you have sitting in your Coinbase, that let's say you have $1,000 worth of Ethereum, which is 0.5 right now. You could have invested that 0.5 into an NFT that could have done the same thing. Right. So instead of looking at the volatility of the actual cryptocurrency, I look at the volatility of the NFT project that I'm investing in.
Interesting.
So no matter what the value of my ETH is, I invest into collections that I'm passionate about, that I know for a fact that in a matter of a couple, 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, 2 months, I'm patient. I don't even look at it, that they're going to announce something game changing, and my ETH will double because I believed in their collection.
So when you, when people bought your NFT and all that ETH went into your wallet, did you then immediately reinvest into a bunch of NFTs that you were excited about?
Yes. So actually, I just kept my crypto in the crypto ecosystem. I was able to reinvest to bring more utility for my holders, to bring them more excitement.
What does that mean, more utility for my holders?
Utilities as in like fun things that will they could benefit off of by simply being a holder of my NFT.
Like what? Give me an example.
Because I get it. Like, you know, my first NFT is a visual with music attached to it.
Sure.
But it's very common in this space that people are used to things like staking and receiving free airdrops, you know, of more NFTs for free, you know.
What is staking?
And staking is where, like, let's say you bought my NFT, but it's almost like when you give money back to the government for like a Roth IRA, or like you know what I'm saying? Like where
they
when you
hold
give it
on
back
to your money and then
they hold on
you
to your
make
money
interest on it.
and you make interest on it. Correct.
Okay.
So there's NFT projects where you'll be able to like give them your NFT.
Oh.
And you lock it up, and in the time it's locked up, you earn a certain currency.
Gotcha.
And so somebody like for example, this collection called Metroverse, they're pretty much like pieces of land, like the illustration, like the actual NFT, they look like little pieces of land. And if you go to the official website, you have the option of staking it. So then once you stake it, you earn what's called MET, MET. It's an ERC20 token. It's on the Ethereum blockchain. So you could see it in real time mining MET token.
Whoa.
In the time that it's staked, you see it in real time. Let's say you wait a month and you have, I don't know, 1,200 MET token. You go and see what the value of MET token is at the time on Coin Tracker Gap or whatever it's called. And let's say it's 30 cents. You do the math, 0.30 cents times 1,200 MET, that's $360. So then you can go and convert that into either Ethereum. And so you could buy $360 worth of ETH.
Sure.
Or you can convert it to USD.
So, and does that, unlike crypto, which goes up and down, and stocks that go up and down or whatever, does this only go up just like money in a bank savings account where you earn like 2% interest every year or whatever it is? Does this, if you stake an NFT or you stake some crypto, it only goes up because of the nature of what it's doing?
The only thing that goes up is the amount of MET that you're producing a day.
Okay.
Or the amount of currency that you're earning a day. But what does change is the value of the NFT that's staked and the value of the currency that it's on.
Right.
So there's two volatile things that you're pretty much basing everything on. So in the time that you stake, you want your NFT to grow in value. You don't want it to go down in value.
Right.
Because that means the property itself is losing value. You know? But then, and you also want the actual currency that you're earning, you want that to grow in value. So that way, when it's time to cash out, you know, you're not running the risk that when you staked it, it was 40 cents. And then when you decided to pull all your MET out, it's 20 cents.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, you're getting half.
So the interest will go up, essentially, if you want to call it interest, but the staking amount that you're making, but it's marginal. It's a bit, but the real money is in with the value of the NFT and the value of the crypto, which goes up and down. But it's kind of like when you're thinking about, it's like, well, it's the difference between keeping your money in a savings account that has no interest versus keeping your money in a savings account or even a stock or something that has a little bit of interest that goes up. It's like, you're going to keep your money somewhere. You might as well stake it because you're going to earn a little bit of interest on that too, I guess.
Yeah. And like Ethereum does this thing now where if you want to get in on Ethereum 2.0, which is their new one coming out, you can actually give up some ETH and stake it. You can stake your ETH. But I mean, I use ETH so commonly now that I don't really see myself staking it, because once you stake it, you can't get it back until 2.0 is revealed. So,
and they've been promising that for 4 years. No, I'm just kidding. But
at least that's what it feels like in the space. But I myself staked $500 like a year and a half ago.
How do you stake it?
You could do it on Coinbase, actually.
Oh yeah,
they give you the option to do that. Yeah.
Cool.
So once you stake it, you earn a percentage over time of 2.0. So that way, when it unlocks, when 2.0 comes out, you actually have a little more extra Ethereum.
Sick. Oh, that's great, man. Sammy, we keep talking crypto and NFTs and all of that, but we are well over time, and I want to be respectful of your time, and this is it's such an incredible journey, and I I'm excited to just see where you go next, because man, you've had essentially 3 different music careers, and are you even 30 yet? How old are you?
I just turned 30 May 4th.
Happy birthday. Amazing.
Thank you, brother.
So pretty incredible. And thank you for giving that education on NFTs and Web3 and crypto. And it's I think we're all learning here, and to kind of learn from a musician like yourself, that's the best way for, I think, a lot of us to at least have our entrance point is through someone who we can relate to. And you understand what we're all going through, and we understand where you came from and what led you here. So thank you for sharing your whole journey with this. I have one final question that I ask everybody who comes on the show. What does it mean to you to make it in the new music business?
Man, honestly, especially with what I've been through in the music industry, with struggling with identity and coming into a genre that, I was trying to shake things up and, bring a new taste to country music and, bring awareness to, to the genre that they need some more Hispanic culture. I feel like the biggest win is being recognized for your authentic self, and just doing what's true to you and winning doing what you're good at and what you were meant to do. I think living a lie, especially as a musician, singing songs that you don't enjoy, dressing a certain way, portraying yourself as somebody that you're not. I can't imagine living a life like that. So I'm just very blessed that, my life has been steered towards a direction where I can fully be myself. And I've never seen so much love and support from my fans. And it all clicked when I started being myself 100%. And so I think that that's the biggest win, is just sticking to your guns. You know what I mean?
Sammy Arriaga, thank you so much. This is great.
Hey, my pleasure. Have a good day.
Today's episode was edited by Maxton Hunter, theme music by Brass Roots District, and produced by all the great people at Ari's Take.